Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about the full moon in Aries happening on October 17th, 2024 at 4:26 a.m. Pacific time. This video is going to go over the aspects. I'm not going to go into each sign. I covered that a bit in the monthlies. So if you want to know how the full moon is going to affect you personally, you can go check out your monthly video, and that is by rising sign. So if you don't know your rising sign, you'll get to go to one of the free birth calculators on the internet, and you just need your exact time of birth and your location in order to determine that information. Let me pull up the chart and let's talk about this full moon. A full moon is where the sun and the moon are in an opposition, and the sun is reflected. The sun's light is reflected off of the moon. It's known as the completion of a cycle. It is the fullest, brightest phase of the moon, so we see things more clearly in a full moon. So when I look at this full moon and I click on the moon itself, we can see that the moon is conjunct Chiron. Chiron is the wound that we come into this planet with. It's the wound that offers wisdom. It's the wound that offers understanding and the ultimate transformation. Being in the sign of Aries, within 3 degrees of this moon, makes me think very much that one of the focuses of this full moon is how am I expressing my individuality, my sense of self? How is my ego reflected? What is my perception about the possibilities of my carving out the life I want for myself? Now, when you look at this, you're going to want to see where Aries is in your chart, which will give you a deeper layer of information about the environment around it. But overall, what we see at the time of the moon is that the sun is in the second house of money, and the moon is in the eighth house of other people's money, of transformation, of death and rebirth. And the moon represents our emotional body. The 24th degree is the Piscean degree. So there's an opportunity to look fully at what potential wound I have in regards to myself carving out my own life. And in doing so, can I extract a sense of understanding, a sense of wisdom, a sense of pioneering, a bravery that's required? Right now, what we see here with the moon is making a challenging aspect to Pluto within 5 degrees, and it's making a challenging aspect to Mars within 4 degrees. And Mars and Pluto are in a growing opposition. So what we feel is the tension of the underbelly of whatever psychological dynamics have a grip on me. And when we're looking at the axis of the second and the eighth house, meaning natural Taurus Scorpio axis, we're looking a lot about finances, a sense of security, a sense of flow, and also the underbelly about how humans interact with one another and how money, sex, power become controlling factors. So this is going to illuminate an opportunity to individualize. The ruler of this new moon is Mars, and Mars is in a challenging position here in square in Cancer, but this is also going to be bravery about how you take care of you. How do you nurture you? What do you believe about your home life, about the origins of which you were raised? We see that the moon is making favorable aspects to the MC and the IC at the time of this full moon, really giving a bit of opportunity to, again, extract wisdom, to see things from a higher perspective. Jupiter is in Gemini, where it is in detriment, where Jupiter is not Jupiter has to come off the mountain and look at the details of human thinking, the details of human speech, the way that humans run their lives that is in conflict to their soul and how they connect with the divinity within. So I think that this full moon could be illuminating an opportunity to connect with your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs, the dynamics of whatever. I want to use the word higher education, but I almost feel like some of that education could be through your life path, through your everyday experience. It's like that experience is giving you an opportunity to shift your principles or shift your ideologies or your philosophies. And this moon is going to illuminate the need to now implement that within your individual self. That's what the Aries energy is about. Now, when we click on the sun, we see the sun is also in square to Pluto and to Mars, which is very challenging because Pluto is very much the underbelly that it rules this criminal behavior, this darkness that plays to the deepest fears that you have, the deepest fears about being loved, about being cared for, about having enough resources to fulfill one's life with flow and ease. And we see that there is this the square is illuminating, where is my ego not feel strong enough? The sun is in fall in Libra. The sun is in exaltation when it is in Aries. And so when it's in Libra, it has to compromise and it has to look for balance. It doesn't get to be the leader. It doesn't get to, in some ways, be all about me. And that is in conflict with the moon wanting to express itself and to rewrite its wound. Oftentimes the sun rules Leo. Leo rules comedy performers. And oftentimes comics use the challenges or the tragedies in their life and they make fun of it on the stage, and it sort of heals that wound. I feel like there's an element of, individualizing the self and using the wound to heal and balance oneself through being aware of where there could potentially be overcompromise because of the emotional wound, or there's a lack of compromise at all. And this is going to be, again, illuminated in a tense way because I've got to be brave to look at my participation in perpetuating some kind of habit. And then we see this nice trine from the sun to Jupiter, offering again an opportunity to connect to a bigger picture, like bringing my spiritual beliefs and my divinity, my philosophies, my ideologies into my everyday life. And when I look at the quincunx to Uranus, I feel like that's a blind spot that has kept me from seeing not only my personal genius, but seeing how the potential of my family upbringing, my history, my personal history has held me back in some ways. It's thwarted me from moving forward, meaning being brave enough to step out. Let's say that you come from a highly cerebral family that really values education and you are an athlete, and you're not as maybe academic as they are, but you're excelling in your career athletically. This could bring some conflict because I need to be great in both things. I need to be all things to all people. I kind of think that's a little bit of a challenge with the sun in Libra. Now, the other thing that's going on with this sun in Libra during this full moon is that the sun is on the fixed star Spica, and that is the voice of the angels. It's a very fortuitous star, which then plays back to the trine here with Jupiter in Gemini. This is a purposeful and intentional slowing down of the huge philosophies and the big ideas and being aware of them. Now there's an integration in the everyday world. So let's say that you believe that God watches over humanity and you're a small part of that he may not have time for. And I say that he just because it's a traditional way of referring to God. Um, I think this is an opportunity to rewrite that belief and to bring your divinity into your everyday world, knowing you are a light of God, a spark of God, the fire of God. And you may not be able to see that right now because Uranus is blinding that. And it's not making a very favorable aspect to the moon because it's not even in conversation. So you can't feel any sort of change, any sort of, liberation from what has been. But yet at the same time, with the favorable aspects to Jupiter here, there is, again, I want to say this full moon illuminates an opportunity to slow down a little bit. And I say that because Mars cannot move quickly in Cancer. I never think of Mars as anything but swimming, literally using its body to swim through the waters. And it takes a while for Mars to learn how to float on his back or to do the backstroke so that he can feel, not fight the tides. I guess that's what I'm going to say. And also Mars, because it moves so quickly, it can be very intuitive and instinctual in battle or competition, but in everyday life that can get lost, that intuitive energy. So here Mars is being tasked to be intuitive and not just focus on the wound that it has experienced, but to allow that wound to, again, dig deep for the wisdom. So this could be an example of wisdom. Somebody tells you can't do something, and often we will hear this with people who have achieved young time, in their youth. They will find someone who says you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not whatever enough. And there are people who are willing to say, I don't necessarily believe that, I'm going to try anyway. And then they succeed. This is what Mars is being offered. It's not an easy thing to trust your gut, to trust your intuition. But again, the moon rules the house that Mars is residing in and traveling through right now. And then again, we see this breaking down of fears, of old structures, of authorities, and or things that have governed a sense of limitation, or again, obligation, duty. And I feel like seeing that that the moon is also making favorable aspects to the IC and the MC makes me think that at least at the time, this is on this is on a Virgo rising. So if you are a Virgo rising, this is absolutely applicable to you, and that ICMC is applicable to you. But if it's somewhere else in the chart, this 20 for you and on another sign, this 21 degrees is very much playing to that Aquarian energy of, again, liberating. So wherever you find the Gemini, Libra energy, and that Aries energy within your chart is going to represent the landscape of what the philosophies are, what the ideologies are, what the potentials for expansion through, and I really want to say a slowdown and looking at the details of things. There is, Jupiter is often considered benevolent in all ways, but Jupiter is a challenge because Jupiter can be gluttonous, it can be entitled, it can be a know-it-all, and it can be so broad in its thinking that it really misses fine details that are necessary to accomplish a goal. So during this moon, we're going to see elements of that being illuminated, but not to pull you under, but rather to propel you. And that's what the growing opposition between Mars and Pluto is representing. I also want to say this, because while the growing opposition between Mars and Pluto will affect all of us individually, it's going to affect the environment very much so, especially in the United States. We are just weeks away from the presidential election, and we're looking at Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn that rules government. We're looking at Mars in Cancer, which rules home and family. So, and all of that is extremely powerful in its energy for transformation, but it usually happens through something rather hostile, something rather forceful, something rather harsh. So this full moon can be an illumination of something that doesn't serve you, but then ultimately does serve you. So I don't want to make it negative. I actually think it's kind of positive, because sometimes when we can see the potholes ahead of us, we can walk around them versus stepping in them again. So that's it for me for the full moon. It's also I just kind of want to end on this. Having the sun be on the voice of angels, the fixed star speaker, I think is very important to allow your ego not to edge God out, as some of the things the square brings up challenge, but ultimately offer transformation and reward. Okay, that's it for me. I'm going to stop my share. Please like, please subscribe, please share the video if you found value in it. Please join me Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's where I pull a tarot card and I do an angel reading for each sign to get the angel's advice for traversing the week ahead's transits. All right, again, I'm Teri Hunter. If you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below in the description, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.